watcher, welcome back. Now, who's ever been let down by an eBay seller? Well, that'll be all of us then. Okay, now I bought some steel on eBay, a sheet of 1.5mm 500 by 500 steel from a known stock holder through their eBay portal. Obviously they deliver, they said next day delivery. That was Sunday I ordered that, so I didn't expect Sunday to count, so Monday I expected it Tuesday. Tuesday it didn't turn up. Yesterday, Wednesday, this is Thursday now at the time of filming this. This is my day off this week, Thursday. I have 1 weekday off in order to do videos and stuff. So on Thursday, today I expected to have the steel here because I thought if it ain't here Tuesday, which it should be, it will definitely be here Wednesday. It wasn't. I called them up, they said, look, unfortunately, FedEx lost it. Can you believe that? Well, no, I don't. But there you go, you can't disbelieve people, you only have what they say to go on. So the metal didn't turn up. Now that means I can't do what I intended to do, but I can do some prep. So let's show you what I'm going to do today. In place of being let down by a supplier again, and make use of the time wisely, and at least then when the steel does come, I'll be able to get straight on it and it won't lose any time overall, and that is referring to the under tray that I've got to make for the Street Fighter. So today, back on the Street Fighter build, let's get stuck in. I'll show you up underneath it first. Now, because it's a little easier, I use the GoPro. Let's show you what I've got. Right, here we go. This is the underside of the back end of the bike. There's the tail unit. Kind of not quite ready for paint yet. Can you see that? You'll see them scratches. I'm going to deal with those off camera. I've got some silver paint on the way, kind of a batch of it from a very kindly viewer and friend. And then I'll just put about 6 coats of silver over that and I can bury all the little scratches and flat it out. Not interesting, so you won't see that happen. Right, up and underneath there, this is what we've got. Now, still on that story so far. This is the frame itself, the actual subframe, which all this bolts to and holds everything. And what I'm going to do is put an under tray going right the way down in front of the wheel, down in there. So it will go right down with a curve. So like all under trays, it'll have a curve that goes across this way for the wheel to recess into under suspension drop. Obviously measure it so it doesn't touch. I don't like this plastic stuff that's standard. I'll leave it there because it holds things like the battery and various electrics and fuses and relays and whatnot, so it's handy. But I'll put the under tray itself over it. The under tray, I want it to be straight. I want this whole thing to be completely straight underneath, with in the center of it, kind of here, as high up under the tail as possible, a Frenched tube going down inside with a circular LED, big sort of afterburner light right down inside that can clearly be seen. I've checked with my MOT guy and he said you don't have to see a tail light from the side, you only have to see it from the rear, and about 45 degrees either side of the rear is good. So I'll make sure that happens by bringing that light forward enough, not French down too deep so you can't see it. Obviously safety is an important thing, especially with tail lights. Now I've got some tubing, I've got all this old stock in the corner, and that bit there, that bit of nasty big old bit of chewed up steel, that piece of tube there is about 80mm. It's the center leg of a table, a big garden table. I just rescued it about 5 years ago and I'm really glad I did. So anyway, that will form the tube that goes down inside, that the light sits down inside, and this whole thing underneath will just be a sheet of steel. But what it's got to do, I've deliberately brought the tail, I know it's a lot of chat, but just bear with me. I brought the tail panel here. I deliberately brought it down level with this panel and this panel here, and up and under, see Harry, I've got these pieces of alley bar which hold the tailpiece and they hold it in position. Now I can move those up and down, just lozenge them a little bit to get this to come just the other side of this steel. But the idea is when the under tray is bolted up, it's going to bolt with riv nuts, these here, that's what I'm going to do today. It's going to bolt flat to this panel there, all the way down, and then the two will effectively, one will overlap the other. There's no point in trying to butt joint them, it will never be a perfect joint, so it will always look rubbish. You're better off just overlapping it slightly. The idea is that when it's put in, it will be nicely disguised, it will just come, visually it will come round and then straight underneath. That will look really cool, that's the idea. So I've got to get stuck in with that today. The first thing is these horrible clunky, girt big lugs that held the rear foot peg hangers. They've got to be cut off neatly and do a nice job of them. And at the same time, I've got to cut away some of this plastic. Under here in this garage, all this plastic that lips round here. I'm going to cut some of that away because I'm going to cover that up completely. I want it to sit flush to the metal, so that's got to be trimmed away. And anything else really. So today is cutting and cleaning, put some riv nuts in here, prepare this underneath, do as much as I can, get that piece of steel out the corner, cut that to a prepared length. Just want to make myself ready because the steel should arrive tomorrow, Friday, so I might be able to spend Saturday itself actually making this ready for Wednesday's upload, so keeping this moving. There we go. Dirty, and I need some black paint. I need some bed liner or something up under there for when it's done. I don't want anybody seeing all that, that's nasty. Right, okay, let's get on with it. Right, now I'm just going to cut this factory under tray so it's up out the way. I'm just going to trim these lips because obviously it comes down and it lips under the subframe to keep the water out, I guess, but I'm going to be putting something over that, so I need it out of the way. That's actually in the way like that. I need to trim it back so it's just up inside the frame out of the way, so when I put that sheet metal on, it doesn't interfere with it at all. So what we're doing is cutting that kind of, what is it, 3mm thick injection molded plastic, same stuff that your tail tidy's made from. So a little tip for you, text message, little tip for you, lino knife. All right, these things are wonderful. Stanley blade, hooked Stanley blade. You can buy them like you can buy any other Stanley blade, and they're absolutely fabulous. If you're gonna, you know, the business where you trim off the bottom of your fender or the bottom of your mudguard so you see more of the tyre, we all do that, don't we? And better to do it with one of these and just draw it through the plastic. This plastic is beautiful. It slices absolutely smoothly with one of these. So rather than using the hacksaw, which so many people do, or I've seen people use a hot knife, whatever, both of those methods leave an awful scrambled egg surface, and then you have to sand that back. And no matter how much you sandpaper this injection molded plastic, you'll never really get the scratches out. I guess you could keep going back to 1200 paper and all that old stuff, but it's just a lot of grief. Just use one of these, it slices it cleanly and smoothly first time. But you know, I don't need to say, be careful, eh? Right, I can't get the last one in because I've got all of the exhaust assemblies in the way, so the exhauster's got to come off just so I can swing the tool or drop the wheel out, and that is far easier. So let's pull the wheel out. There we are. Done. Right, there we are. So 8 good mount points. 2, 4, 6, and everything. More closely condensed at the back because that's where most of it's going to get seen. I want a nice tight joint. Down here, this is going to be a very straight section, quite a beefy section because it's going to have a curve in it there, so I don't need to have too many rivets there. Just 2 at the front to hold it nice and close down where I can put the leading edge. Now, it would be logical to just leave this out like this because then I've got all that nice access to make the under tray, but I need the wheel in there to measure where the wheel ingresses into. But at the same time, I hate leaving workshops like this. It's just horrible. You just don't do it. Tools everywhere, but you're in the middle of a job and I'm waiting for that steel. So I'm going to put the wheel back in because I need the wheel back in. I want the situation to be when the steel comes, all I have to do is come on in and start cutting the steel out and everything else is done. And that is how it is today. All this is cleaned off. Those foot peg hangers are nicely cleaned off, all buffed and polished back. The under tray is all sliced back, nice little trick there with the lino knife, and then all the riv nuts are now firmly and securely and reliably in place. Riv nuts can be a pain in the backside. If you don't get them firmly clamped in, they just spin and then they defeat the object. They're not a captive thread, they're a spinning thread, and they need to be captive in order to do their job. You can't get to the other side. So they're all securely and firmly in. Very happy with those, nice job. So I'm going to sling the wheel back in and dress it up loose because this whole back end's coming out. The swing arm's coming out, the shock's getting replaced with a really cool one, and the whole rear end's going to have to rip out again, so none of it will get done up tight. I'm just going to put it back in so the wheel is in place. It's a mock-up if anything else. Once the wheel's in, then I can measure where that arch needs to be in the under tray. I want the under tray as straight as possible like a GP bike, but I want to bring the arch no further back than it needs to be. So like I said, for that I need the wheel in place. So sling the wheel back in, clear up the worst of the tools, tidy up the place, and it might be, I think, unfortunately, I have to call it done there for that one. So let's get tidied up. Right, there we are, 4 hours that was. Yeah, came in here at 10, it's 2 o'clock now, so I mean that proves that that was 4 hours of what I thought that was unproductive really. It didn't really do a lot. I just cut off a couple of brackets and stuck some riv nuts in it, but 4 hours. If you're doing a project yourself, or if you're going to embark on a project yourself, then this is the sort of thing you need to understand right at the offset, right before you even get anywhere with it. There's going to be days where you'll spend hours and hours on a project and you won't really achieve a lot at all, or it won't feel like you do, but it has to be done. I have to have mount points for the under tray. That's obviously extremely important. The steel is on its way, so effective use of time. I've put all the mount points in, I've ground off those horrible lugs that had to come out of the way, and it was a messy, nasty job. So 4 hours of necessary, but not necessarily very rewarding work, and that's the way projects go. I spent a lot of time on the tailpiece, probably, so I think what it was, 25, 30 videos or whatever it was I said in it recently. Now this hopefully won't take anywhere near as long as that. There's just a couple of curves to produce. I'm going to try and crack on with it as quickly as I can. Maybe not film as much, maybe more results focused, so you can just see it, because I know that a lot of you are just itching to see this done. I can't rush it, I can't finish this any faster, but I can hopefully make it a bit more interesting. So that's going to be a focus for me with the use of editing and post-production and a little bit more creative filming in here. I just want to get this done now. I want that under tray underneath there. There's lots and lots of bits to do, but at least I've got past that boring, dirty, filthy, monotonous job of cleaning everything off, getting it all prepared and putting the mount points in it. Again, same with any project, there's a lot of work that doesn't really feel very productive, but it has to be done. So there we are. That's it today, 4 hours. Number 7, it's day 77 in the garage. It's not video 77 because there's been sort of half a dozen or more that I haven't filmed. For instance, one of them will be repainting that tail unit, which is behind you. Again, I've got to repaint that with loads more paint. I won't film that because it's not interesting. So the actual days in the garage are romping ahead of the videos. It's going to be comfortably 100 videos before I'm anywhere near seeing an end to the tunnel. But you know, that's all, seeing a light in the tunnel, an end, you know. But there we are, that's that done. Thanks for watching, take it easy, ride safe.